Hey guys, David from the Modern Martial Artist here. Before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to this guy, Michael, who is an amateur boxer and sent me a message on Facebook and he said, I love your channel, love your technique breakdowns, and I used a gazelle punch to score a TKO in my last boxing match. I don't know why it was counted a TKO. Oh, it was counted a TKO, I think, because his opponent got up and then the ref decided to stop it. Must be why, I guess. But he knocked the guy down, and he got up in time, but he was too dazed, and it was totally badass, man. So Michael, excellent job, and keep it up. Keep sending me more of those. That was pretty awesome. Also, dude, feel free if you're up and coming. It looks like you got all the headgear on, so it looks like you're still amateur. But if you're up and coming, link your information below. If you're listening right now, feel free to link all your social media, whatever the hell you want to, and I'll mark it approved and pin it up there for you. So great job, man. It looked badass. Today we got a lot of cool stuff to go over. We're gonna go over Triple G, which was pretty much exactly what you thought it was gonna be. The Ryan Garcia fight, some improvements that he still has to make, but overall did show improvement and a good step up in competition for him. Still keeping an eye out for that kid and how he's going to do and how he's going to keep progressing. Is he going to end up one of the greatest that's ever been, or is he going to end up that guy in a couple of years where you're like, what happened to him? We don't know yet. And then I'm going to go a little bit into Lomachenko versus Linares and how I see that going. And I'm honestly a little, as a huge Lomachenko fan, I'm honestly a little bit scared for him. And I'll kind of tell you why. And then in MMA, we have a lot of stuff going on that I don't care about, and two ancient now, not ancient, but two, we'll call them legendary fighters going head-to-head, which is Lyoto Machida versus Vitor Belfort. So we're going to go into that a little bit. And those two guys' styles and also kind of their legacy and what it was. So there are timestamps for that below if you want to skip right to one of those fights. So let's get right to it. Let's get right into the fights that happened over the weekend, with the most entertaining probably being Triple G versus Martirosyan, which is how I'm saying his name. I hope I'm getting it right, but I've heard different announcers say it different ways. So this was a terrible mismatch, obviously, but Martirosyan isn't terrible. He came close to getting a couple titles or whatever, which is really impressive to get to that level. You're beyond journeyman, you're doing okay, but still it's nowhere near the level that Triple G is. So one thing I pointed out before, and one of the reasons I predicted, which wasn't really a miracle prediction, that he was going to get knocked out in the first or second round, is every time he throws a punch, he lowers his other hand. And it's not for any kind of purpose at all. He's not doing it to catch a jab. He's not doing it to even aid his body movement by creating momentum. He's not blocking. There's no reason. It's not putting power into his shot. He just decides that when he wants to throw a punch, his other hand's going to go away. It's just like, bye. And he's like, I needed you to protect my chin. And the hand's like, nah, bro, I'm taking a break. You're throwing a punch. I'm not just going to hang around by your chin and protect you while you throw a punch with the other hand. I'm gone, So, yeah, he got caught in great deal because of that, but also because Triple G is really good at setting up punches, and that's not some kind of brilliant statement I'm making. But what could be interesting to you to do is kind of like a mental exercise, or if you want to up your own game, is look at the first round and pay attention to Triple G paying attention. Because what Triple G is doing is he's mapping out Martirosyan's defense. That's exactly what he's doing. Every time he throws a jab, he's paying very close attention. Every time he's throwing a power shot, he's paying very close attention to exactly what Martirosyan's gonna do. And you saw that with the uppercut that he landed in the second round. People were saying that he wasn't really doing a very good job in the first round, or it didn't look like old him, or he's getting caught too much, or whatever the hell. I think part of that was this was supposed to be one of the biggest nights of his life, and it got ruined. And there was just a bunch of bullshit and drama, and who was going to be the guy who he was going to fight changed like 5 times, or there was like 5 different possibilities. So yeah, it's stressful for him, and but yeah, I think that was part of it, but the first round he was just filling him out. And if you want to watch that first round and just kind of notice him noticing, you could probably see him paying attention in specific spots that in the second round became spots that he made, that he connected. One of those was the uppercut. He noticed that Martirosyan was moving his hand away every time he jabbed, and that he was jabbing at the same spot. His head movement was the same every time, and his reaction to jabs were the same every time. So Triple G just sidestepped out, came in under his arm, landed a beautiful uppercut. Worked off his jab, varied his rhythm, varied how bad his intentions were with his jab. He has a powerful jab, but he was really varying how much power he was putting into each one, so that Martirosyan didn't know exactly what to pay attention to and what to react to. And that's all I really have to say about the fight, besides that hook that he caught him with, that last hook before that sent him going down, was absolutely beautiful. And I was just geeking out over how he caught him with a vertical fist, slightly bent elbow, and then he just turned that shoulder over at the perfect moment, right, into a horizontal hook that just snapped his head back, and I was like, oh my god. That is a pick. That's why he hits so hard, guys. That guy has perfect form. I've rarely ever seen a guy with such perfect form. There are faster fighters. There are people who throw punches more explosively off of more explosive footwork, who really put their weight into it. But there's no one out there right now who does it technically as perfect as Triple G, and that's where his power comes from, man. It's absolutely, it's astounding to watch. So yeah, good fight, short fight. Wasn't really a challenge for him, obviously. Hopefully we get him and Canelo next, and if not, hopefully someone that's one more thing I want to say is, I was looking it up. Apparently Martirosyan was with Freddie Roach for a while, and I like Freddie Roach's one of his biggest things is defense, and I just could not believe that he trained Martirosyan. He must have been just impossible to train. I know that Martirosyan left Freddie at some point. And I don't know why, but I'll tell you this: I get to pop in every once in a while because I live around his gym, and they have amazing bags. Basically, is why I go there now. They have bags of like every kind of hardness, I guess you could say. They even have this big rubber one that'll bounce your punches off so that it feels like you're getting parried. And it's just a great workout environment, and they let you kick the bags as hard as you want. So that's freaking awesome. And it's really cheap too. I think it's like $5 for however long you want to stay that day. So I get to talk to Freddie Roach just randomly in my everyday life sometimes. And not that he needs compliments, but I was complimenting him on how GSP did. And like, his biggest thing is he was so proud of how GSP managed to catch Bisping's jabs and jab at the same time. And so Freddie Roach, especially with all the stuff that poor guy's been through with his health, is so much about tight defense. Even if the hands are down, it's head movement, and it's effective. And you've seen that with all of his fighters. He doesn't really teach everyone the same style, obviously, but he makes damn sure that they're defensively responsible. So I could not believe he taught Martirosyan. And some of you guys were giving me shit for saying it was going to be over in a round or two, for saying he was just going to get killed. And I'm like, no, man, this against Triple G, you cannot do this shit. Even if you have good reflexes, you can't get caught once. So yeah, that did not end well for him. All right, moving on. So just quickly talking about Ryan Garcia versus Velez. It was an okay fight. Garcia showed improvement. I know he's acting like a douche and say, I think he said I mean, gimmicky is gimmicky, and building a fan base is building a fan base. Talking shit about your opponent, whatever, I'm not paying very much attention to it. I did see something that said that he sparred Lomachenko and said he was winning. Yeah, man, no. There is no way in hell. No way in hell that happened. I was reading this on Reddit, and someone commented, like maybe they were going super soft and then Garcia decided to unload on him or something like that. I've had that happen in sparring. I like to get my bearings a little bit and take some when we're both going light, like to take some shots on my guard just to kind of get into it. And I've had people where we're going pitter patter at first or even moderate, and then you hit them a couple more times and then they get pissed off and they just throw a big one. You take it on your guard expecting something loose. You're just looking to like work something, or work a certain setup, whatever the hell you want to practice at that point. And then just bam, they hit you hard. So I could see him doing that to Lomachenko, and then Lomachenko responding with something. Because I guess he said Lomachenko threw him because he was losing. I'm like, no way in hell. I want to see that fight. Schedule that goddamn fight just so I could watch Garcia get knocked the hell out. But all that aside, I think Garcia is still a really great prospect, and I think he has a bright future ahead of him if he consolidates the style. Because I saw him get better, and he was better with a lot of stuff throughout the fight. I noticed that he clinched and then he hit off the clinch. I noticed he was clinching a lot better. He was doing it way too freaking much, and if he was against like someone who was a really good infighter, he's not ready for that right now at all. He needs to at least punish people as they come in. So even if they hit him, he's hit them first. And then he needs to be able to work out of it better if he has someone pressuring him. But overall, his clinching got better than it was. So that at least is good. Also, for his low hand style, he needs to either do what Canelo's doing and get really good at shelling up and then getting his hands low to swing in and cut an angle and then hit with the hard power shot. He could be that kind of speed-based fighter. Or he needs to go the Muhammad Ali route and use a lot of head movement, a lot of brilliant head movement to make people just miss. But both of those are kind of going to be a problem for him, I think. And not to take too much away from the kid because, he's in the ring and I'm sitting here in front of my computer. So I'm not saying that, he's scared, he's a pussy. But he needs to be able to get better at taking shots and then still being aggressive. And that's what his coach, which I guess his dad, was telling him too, but in a different way. What I saw is every time he took a shot, even if he didn't get rocked, and I didn't really see him get rocked, maybe he did, but just taking a shot makes him so uncomfortable. And, that's relatable. That happens to everyone once in a while, at the least. And it takes a while to get used to. But if it's your job, if you want to be a pro fighter, you need to get used to it. And once again, there's that. My friend showed me this Teddy Roosevelt quote. I'm going to give you he said it elegantly. I'm going to give you the summarized version, which is, the spectator, his criticism isn't near as important. Like who the fuck cares what this guy has to say? The spectator has to say when criticizing the guy who's in the ring, the gladiator with blood on his face who's in there fighting, saying how he could have done it better. So I'm not saying it as a personal attack. I'm just saying that I think he's going to be a great fighter, but it's going to be a problem if he can't take a shot and then keep moving forward, which is one of the hardest things to do. And I think it is teachable. I've seen people who were really afraid of taking shots be able to take hard shots and move forward before. But at this stage of his career, it's going to become a problem very, very soon. So if he can't stand in the ring and exchange and finish the job, even when the guy is ready to go down, even if he could end it that round, then it's a problem. So how he develops that, I don't know. But I think that's even more important than picking kind of what defense he needs to have. Because the kid is fast, but he needs to have an elusive defense, or not even an elusive defense, but he needs to have something that works. His offense is great, blinding speed, fucking awesome. Go with that. That's good. Defense needs to complement that, and he just needs to pick one. So if he's going to circle and jab, like he was trying to do, he needs to get better head movement, and then he needs to get better, not even lateral movement, not even side-to-side movement, but he needs to get better at using that side-to-side lateral movement or just circling. He needs to get better at timing, at rhythm. If he's going to use his jab to set up combinations, if he's going to try to draw people in, if he's going to try to stand in the middle of the ring, then his timing and him breaking his own tempo needs to get way better. He needs to get better at setting up people. So they think he's throwing, so he's not. So he's drawing a counter from them, so he could counter that counter. Or so he could make them just miss and then go in for it. And I know I'm talking a lot about him, but he I think he's going to go places, but not if he can't get his style concrete. And he needs to do it, I think, in the next 2 fights. If he doesn't do it in the next 2 fights, then he could be one of those guys that you heard about a lot years ago, and then you're like, what the hell happened to that guy? All right, let's look at Lomachenko versus Linares. I'm actually kind of worried for Lomachenko on this one because he's one of my favorite fighters, and I think he's going to win. But I think this is going to be definitely one of his toughest competitors yet. Watching Linares fight, first of all, he knows what he's doing against a southpaw, and he's got great technical footwork. So Lomachenko's main weapon is his footwork. Absolutely, it is. His timing, his rhythm, his ability to move so quickly in different angles, and his ability to block his opponent's sight as he moves around them is really, really impressive. But Linares, first of all, he knows when to jab inside the lead foot, when to go outside of it, all that kind of stuff. He knows all the technicalities. He's really, really good at it. And I think he's going to be able to stay with Lomachenko more than previous fighters have been able to stay with Lomachenko. Another thing that he's good at is he takes his time. But when he commits entirely. And that's such a great thing in a fighter when they're able to really try to wait for the right moment, set up shots, and then when they do take the shot, they take it big. And they just ensure that, okay, I'm committing to this 100%. And you could see it. You could see like, okay, I don't care if I get countered, if I get knocked out. I know that I need to 100% put all my power into the shot and really go for it. And he does that. And he does that without losing form, and he does that with staying fairly technical. He's also very defensively responsible, and he'll start blocking counters before they come. So he knows inside and out. He just knows boxing inside and out. He'll throw something, he'll know what the most likely counter is, and he'll block it. And you'd think that'd be very common. You would think. But it's really not. A lot of fighters, even at the pro level, will just kind of look to see what's coming. It's like, no, man, don't rely entirely on your reaction. Just be defensively responsible. And then if you see an opening, counter. And he does, too. He'll put his hand up there, or he'll move his head offline. But if he sees that something's still open, he'll go for it. And throw really nice combinations. He'll slip and then connect. You know, he's got great head movement. He's very light on his feet. He's got good cardio. And all of those things, I think, that's not what's bothering me, because I think Lomachenko could still beat this guy easily, even with all those attributes. What really bothers me for Lomachenko, what kind of scares me for Lomachenko is that Linares is able to, or willing to, I should say, and able to take a shot to give a harder one. So he'll make a split-second adjustment that he's going to eat a jab. But first, before that, as that jab's coming out, he's seeing where your head is and where it's going. Or he'll hit to the body. He's really good at that too. And he'll trade your pitter-patter shot with a big shot. And Lomachenko, who likes to mix his pitter-patter jabs with really hard jabs, that could be a problem for him. So I still think Lomachenko is going to win, but I think there's potential there, that combined with all the other things, for there to be a major problem. It would be interesting to see what happens to Lomachenko if he takes a couple big shots and he gets rocked, or he gets hurt bad gets hit big to the body and gets hurt bad, and he slows down. Because I think Lomachenko, hands down, is probably the most intelligent fighter out there right now. So it'd be really interesting to see how he handles that situation of being crippled in the ring in that capacity. That being said, his reflexes are not as good. They're very sharp. They're not as good as Lomachenko's. He's not as fast. He's not as light on his feet. So I still think Lomachenko's going to take it. So I think this is going to be Lomachenko's toughest challenge right now. That being said, people have said that about Lomachenko so many times before. And he's proven them wrong every single time. So I would not be the least bit surprised if this fight turned out to be just as one-sided as his last two. I would not be surprised at all. And like I said, that's probably due to his intelligence. Whatever fighter he's facing, he knows the way around them. But I don't think a lot of his techniques that worked with other people are going to work with Linares. So we'll see. Either way, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm really looking forward to this fight. And I can't wait to see Lomachenko just keep moving up in weight and just keep fighting harder and harder opponents as time goes on. All right, so the fight that I'm most interested in is actually pretty low, pretty early. But it's gonna be, I think, incredible. It's by two legends who are no longer, definitely not at the pinnacle of the sport anymore. But it's gonna be, I think, probably the best fight on the card, and that is Lyoto Machida versus Vitor Belfort. And both these guys have an insane style and an insane history, and in some ways had more potential than their career actually showed, even though they did make it so far. Vitor has been fighting in the UFC for 20 years now. There was a weird eye thing where he just nipped Couture's eye, and he was champion for like one fight, and then they fought again, and Couture just destroyed him. But after that, he took out 4 would-be champions. By that, or 4 or 5, maybe more. I don't think so, but 3 to 5. Just if you go down his record, you'll see people that ended up being champions, but he just took them out before they were, which is so fascinating. And interesting about Vitor too is that he's just continuously gotten better and kind of evolved with the sport. One thing that has never changed is he's a southpaw. He's always had a devastating left hand, really good low kick off of his rear leg, and an insanely good high kick off of his rear leg. And so just mixing those 3 things together, he's knocked out some talented fighters. Biggest issue has always been cardio. So that's definitely going to be a problem against Machida, but he's gotten better with that too. He knows how to pace himself now. He used to just kind of, blow his load the first round, and then if you got past the first round, you could take him down. But man, he's fought everybody. Just going down the list, looking at his fights for people that mostly interest me. He's fought Henderson, Rockhold, Bisping, John Jones, which we'll get to in a little bit. Franklin. Where's some older guys though? Like back in the day. Where are some back in that? Okay, he's fought Ortiz, Couture, I already said, and Chuck Liddell. And he rocked Chuck Liddell, but the most interesting thing is that he almost took out John Jones. And he almost took him out because he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And he got him in an armbar. And after the fight, Jones was just like, I've never felt that happen to my arm before. I was afraid it was going to break. So he came really close to finishing off what's probably the best of all time, greatest of all time. And but then so did Machida. Gave him a lot of trouble. He rocked Jones hard in their fight, back when he was still kind of in his prime. And I would say of the two, striking wise, Machida's definitely more talented, multifaceted, got a lot more weapons in his arsenal, and he's so good at getting in and out very quickly and at setting things up. And he'll do that absolutely the karate point fighting way, which is just control distance, move back, and then when you see your opponent come in, you just step in when they think you're gonna step back. Just really so bouncy in that kind of karate, partially horse stance. To where you're able to just rebound back at going backwards to forwards, and his left hand is devastating too. He has trouble getting out of the way after he's punched someone is the only thing. Moving forward though, his blitzes are absolutely beautiful, and they're highly complex, and he pretty much changed the game to whereas guys just used to go forward swinging at each other, right? And any head movement was kind of incidental because you're just, going back and forth, shifting forward. Your head's going to move left to right. But Machida really thought it through. He'd switch as he came in from with like a big shot, probably with a feint first. So you didn't even know it was going to be a blitz. And that put him from southpaw into orthodox. And then he's either at an outside angle or work against other southpaws too, because now he's deep inside and he's got you lined up square and then come at you from there. And then kind of start his real blitz. So it's kind of like a move off angle to get the guy turning or wide open, depending what stance they're switching in. And then blitz from there, which at that point, they're not just dealing with someone coming straight at them. They're dealing with someone coming at them, and they're in a terrible position. They need to readjust and fight off Machida's attacks at the same time, which, really sucks to say the least. He's also one of the first guys to start incorporating like front snap kicks. So instead of the Muay Thai push kicks that kind of knock you off balance and go deep into your solar plexus, just doing those snap kicks more off the leg, more karate like. Using them for leg kicks too, which started being used more and more for people. So now instead of the kind of, I want to call it the MMA Muay Thai kick, because Muay Thai kicks are actually even tighter than the MMA kicks, but the MMA kicks, they step way offline and load up like even more so. Instead of doing that, now people have the option of doing just that tight karate kick too, and you could really just, which doesn't get you nearly as off balance or off angle, leaves you a bit more open, but at the same time you're not telegraphing as much. So both these guys mainly fight with southpaw. And it's going to be two legends versus each other. Both these guys have amazing power. Both these guys have their own unique styles. I think Machida's going to win, but the thing about... I think it's going to be mostly striking. They're both Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, but I think Machida's going to win, but I think that Vitor could easily win too. So that's pretty much the fight I'm most looking forward to. There are a lot of other fights, but I've only got so much time, so I wanted to break that down, give you guys kind of a brief history of how awesome both these guys are and what they've done for the sport over the years. So that's it for this podcast. I'm thinking of putting the podcast up someplace else. I don't know whether I should do it on iTunes or SoundCloud or whatever the hell it is. I need to do my podcast research. But it'll be up there too soon. Let me know below what you guys would like me to break down next. I'm having trouble picking this week. I might want to do another like old classic fight, not with the Four Kings, but maybe with the golden age of heavyweights. So, or I could do just like I was thinking a Willie Pep breakdown, a full Willie Pep breakdown would be really fun to do. So let me know what you guys want to see next. Check out my Patreon for MMA videos, and I'm going to start putting them out again as soon as the time limit's up. I'm going to start putting out those MMA breakdowns again. There's only going to be one up at a time, but they'll be out there. We just got to wait it out. So that's it. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and tell me who you think is going to win between all those fights and what you thought of the fights that already happened, and Happy training.